started his career. I introduced them on their very first television show.
50 years of silence have finally cracked open. Michael Jackson carried a secret bond with Diana Ross that no one dared to name, not even him. She was to him mother and sister, plus something hidden that burned between them. That unnamed tie followed them for half a lifetime, feeding equal parts peace and pain. People saw clues but brushed them off. They once lived in the same small flat while cameras rolled. He skipped her bright wedding day. Inside his last will he place her name right after the woman who birthed him. Every act was quiet yet thunderous. No one stitched the clues together until she, at 81, breathed out the truth. This tale is not a sweet love ballad. It is the heaviest secret Michael carried to his final curtain, and right now its locked door swings open. Many never heard how 9-year-old Michael first met Diana. It happened at a Motown gala when he was only 9, shaking under heavy adult stares. The tiny boy hugged his brothers, hands twitching while he tried to look brave. Then a sparkling woman leaned down and called him sweetheart. That single word cracked open history. At that point, Diana was not just another rising act. She had already seized the Motown throne. Her presence was flawless, her voice sure, her answers so smooth they felt rehearsed. She owned every bit of spotlight Michael feared he could never reach. Yet her eyes held only patient warmth, and in that warmth he found air. From that night forward, Michael glued himself to her in spirit, though he could not voice why. Much later, he gave one short line that tried to sum it up: mother, sister, and lover rolled into one. The feeling was odd, nothing like a normal family tie, not quite idle and fan. Instead, he felt he had stepped into a hidden room where he was allowed to simply be. Diana was more than bright lights. She was a single hand that lifted him from shadows without payment or praise. By 1971, America tuned into a TV special named Diana, and there stood Michael beside her, glowing like he had been born under studio lamps. Viewers applauded his smooth steps, unaware that Diana had stolen hours to show him each move, teach him how to hold a smile, and steady his shaking voice. It was the first moment he truly shone, not through skill alone, but through borrowed belief. Even so, the tie stayed nameless. Unspoken lines marked a poor black teenager and a crowned legend. The gap was larger than age or money. Both knew that crossing it would smash everything they had built, so they spoke with eyes, not words, and kept orbiting like twin moons. Michael never said the word mother out loud, yet every time he looked at her, audiences felt the message. As he expanded into a world icon, one could still glimpse Diana in his soft stance and gentle tone. She had not only tutored his song, but shown him how to exist beneath blinding lights. Fast forward to 1978, when Michael signed on for The Wiz, an updated Wizard of Oz with an all-black cast. Critics later called it flashy and lost, but for him it meant priceless time with Diana. No quick backstage chat, no rushed visits, but day upon day breathing the same rhythm. Diana took the role of Dorothy, while Michael played Scarecrow, an innocent who begged to learn how to think, echoing his own inner search. He had just turned 20, caught between boy legend and uneasy adult, wrestling with mirrors and unspoken feelings. The movie failed in theaters, blasted for trying too hard, yet that did not matter. The real treasure was private hours that let two guarded hearts draw closer after almost 10 years of silent gravity. For the first time, Michael could sit across from Diana over dinner, no managers watching, no clock pushing them apart. Crew gossip sparked when they learned he had invited her to stay at the modest apartment he rented during filming. No hotel, no staff, just a pair alone behind a locked door. No record shows what happened. The two never commented, yet makeup rooms buzzed with whispered guesses. It felt too close, too raw, far beyond normal star friendship. True to form, Diana said nothing, never spinning the moment for headlines. Michael also kept quiet, but friends noticed a shift when filming wrapped. He spoke less in photo calls, smiled more softly, yet his eyes held calm, as though he had touched something he had chased since 9. It was not romance, more a safe harbor, a place to drop armor and be imperfect for once. Their duet numbers Ease on Down the Road and Brand New Day blasted joy across the screen. Sharp listeners could detect an unseen wire between every note they shared. They were not acting. They were flowing, walls down, hearts open. So the Wiz bombed, but for them it was a silent triumph, needing no applause. Sometimes the rarest gems live in scenes no audience cheers. Long after, people praise Michael for moonwalks and magic sparkle. Yet there was one single interview where he ripped off his mask. Not during a concert, not in lyrics, but in a quiet studio chair. With voice shaking, he declared, "It's Diana Ross. I love her." That brave moment came in 1982 when Ebony magazine sent a writer to sit with him. Cameras flashed, small jokes filled the air, then hush fell. Michael paused, wrestling with the truth, then spoke plain. "I told you that you wouldn't take me seriously." "Oh, yeah, I'm saying that." He was barely over 20. She stood near 44, an age gap that would shock many in the music world stained by constant judgment. Michael shrugged off the noise. He needed no approval, only the chance to plant his truth where all could hear. Industry insiders tried to laugh it off, calling it puppy love or clever publicity. Yet those watching backstage knew better. They saw how he lit up whenever Diana entered a room, how her hand lingered on his shoulder a second too long, and how both grew quiet when the other spoke. Still, rules were rules. Record bosses warned Michael not to let feelings cloud his brand. Tabloids sniffed, but found no photo proof. So the story slid back into rumor, a ghost behind award shows and platinum plaques. Years rushed forward. Michael reinvented pop with Thriller, while Diana conquered new stages. They rarely appeared together in public. The distance was not anger, it was armor. Each needed to protect what words could not explain. Private signs never stopped. He kept her photo in every dressing room. She called on his birthdays, no matter the city. When health scares hit him, she sent quiet messages instead of loud press notes. Their bond changed shape, but never broke. When Michael wrote his last will, he placed his mother first, then Diana, trusting her to guide his children if family battles raged. Lawyers gasped, yet the ink stayed. The world learned of that clause only after his shocking death in 2009. Reporters hunted meaning while Diana, ever graceful, asked for privacy and comforted his kids. She did not chase headlines or fight in court. She simply kept the promise he believed she would. For many, the will was final proof that something greater than friendship had pulsed between them. The scattered clues now formed a clear map. The share apartment, the missing groom at her wedding, the whispered songs, the brave Ebony confession, and the legal trust placed in her hands. Yet Diana stayed loyal to silence until her 81st year. Standing in a calm room filled with soft light, she spoke with both sorrow and relief. She did not reveal every detail, yet she confirmed that what Michael felt she felt too, though life never let them name it. Her words washed through fans like a tidal wave. Some sighed with joy, others wept for time lost, but all finally understood. This was never a cheap scandal for talk shows. It was two fragile souls shielding each other from an industry that often eats its own. Today the story stands as warning and wonder. Fame can gift diamonds, yet steal a simple hug. Michael and Diana wrote their hidden chapter across decades, using looks and quiet favors instead of loud vows. If you listen to his softest ballads, you may hear her shadow in every tender note. If you watch her most heartfelt performances, you may catch a spark hiding behind her eyes. Their secret lives on, stitched into the art they left us. So as you walk away from this tale, remember the truth that is behind the glitter all along. Sometimes the grandest love is the one that never dares speak its name. One sentence tucked inside a dusty interview just exploded like a firecracker across time. It was never meant to shock the world, never designed for headlines. Michael Jackson uttered it because his chest could not contain it any longer. He did not serve it as publicity bait. He spoke because love finally demanded a real name after hiding for years in the shadows of stadium lights. Once the public read the transcript, half the crowd gasped while the rest rolled their eyes, claiming Michael was being dramatic. Yet the reaction that cut deepest was disbelief, as though his raw confession was only a pop stunt. Still, he refused to swallow those words again. Some truths, once freed, are all a heart needs to stay alive forever. For Michael, that chair-bound moment before a lonely camera might have been bolder than every moonwalk. The stage gave him cheers, but the confession stripped him bare. Nothing silenced him that night, not flashing bulbs or billboard trophies. The hush arrived with a simple wedding invitation, printed on white paper, mailed from a quiet villa in Europe. Sender, Diana Ross. Groom, Arn Ness Jr. The mid-'80s audience showered her with joy, yet Michael fell in profound silence. No congratulations, no cheerful telegram, no appearance at the ceremony. He disappeared behind closed studio doors. Here stood the same man who once told the press, "I love her." He had dreamed that if time and courage had been kinder, she might have been his. Friends later said Michael could not mask the hurt. The playful grin vanished. The recording console rested under a soft layer of dust. When someone dared to ask why he skipped the wedding, he answered without blinking, "I loved her and always will." That single line ended all questions. To the wider world, he was a king of pop, royalty adored by millions. Inside, he was a young soul staring at the invitation of the only woman who held his heart, knowing she would soon call another man her husband. Love that never comes back is the quietest pain. It does not roar, yet it nibbles at every silent minute, every unfinished melody. Michael's eyes told the story even when his mouth closed. No chart topper, no fan craze could erase the image of his own Diana, forever close yet forever out of reach. A close friend revealed that after the wedding, Michael vanished from public view for a short span, giving no real reason. Outsiders assumed he needed rest. Insiders knew his heart required bandages. No one blamed Diana, because she deserved happiness on her own terms. Yet somewhere inside, the same boy who once watched her from backstage remained. The deepest sting was not her marriage. It was his steady loyalty. He kept loving with gentle devotion, asking for nothing, speaking of nothing, yet feeling everything. It was a love only music could translate. Michael admitted he had secrets inside songs, planting whispers where words felt unsafe. Among hundreds of hits, 2 tracks still spark debate. Dirty Diana crackles with fire, while Remember the Time drifts like warm memory. Michael once told reporters, "Dirty Diana was just about a type of person, ambitious women who lingered in the spotlight, waiting for a chance to intrude upon an artist's life." Yet fans noticed he filed that copyright on the very day Diana Ross married Arn Ness Jr. Coincidence or message? Brother Jermaine was blunt. Michael wrote it for Diana. The song's simple layers pull listeners back again and again, stirring a single name. In the Remember the Time video, Michael plays a yearning figure in a golden palace, chasing a queen who is dazzling yet untouchable. The symbolism rings loud for anyone who knows his secret triangle of mother, sister, lover. Michael never clarified, preferring haze over certainty. Yet during live performances of Dirty Diana, keen eyes spotted a flash of anger, the silent cry of a lover watching his dream vanish down the aisle. Remember the Time carried a softer whisper as if he pleaded, "Do you remember?" though no reply was ever needed. Perhaps Michael hoped silence would let the tracks breathe on their own. Yet listeners are curious. They read between drum beats. They stare into every lyric. And eventually most agree the music points toward one woman. Therefore, Dirty Diana could address any ambitious fan. Yet for Michael, it probably circled back to Diana Ross, the forever unattainable star. The most revealing evidence did not live on vinyl or inside scripted interviews. It slipped out in private recordings known as the Glenda tapes. During an unfiltered chat with a friend named Glenda in the early 90s, Michael lowered his guard. In a soft voice he shared, "It was one-sided. Our relationship was just in my head." Those simple syllables felt heavier than any platinum award. The world hailed him as a legend, yet he had always been a lone heart, longing for someone who never truly belonged to him. Debate followed. Some supporters claimed Michael loved her romantically. Others shrugged, saying, "Ick about Diana." Yet the key point was never her awareness. What mattered was how long he carried that flame. No casual crush lasts a lifetime. A love kept alive for decades proves it was real to him, even if it remained silent and unmet. Studio engineers remember late nights when Michael sat at the piano, tapping gentle chords that never saw daylight. He filled notebooks, signed them DR, and locked them away before dawn. He looped Dirty Diana for hours, tweaking nothing, simply feeling every beat. When sunrise crept through the booth he left, dark shades hiding tired eyes. Neverland's halls held framed photos of Diana, bright as a lighthouse he refused to dim. Rumors say girlfriends sense a third presence in every room, because any mention of Diana made Michael drift into silence. He shaped Remember the Time like a soft breeze. The lyric about that very first glance sounds exactly like that Motown night when 9-year-old Michael heard her say sweetheart. Watch the video again. He kneels before Queen wrapped in gold, eager yet unable to touch. It mirrors reality too neatly to ignore. Years later, the Glenda tapes leaked, crackly recordings where Michael admits, it was one-sided. Our relationship was just in my head. His voice breaks, yet still calls her wonderful, proof that he blamed no one. Skeptics yelled fake. Believers produced voice analysis. But the aching tone felt unmistakably real. Carrying that secret for nearly 30 years could crush anyone. Yet Michael forged into art that still moves crowds. Diana, in later chats, used careful words, praising deep affection and creative kinship without nailing it down. Her gentle vagueness matched Michael's fog of half-spoken truth. So critics keep guessing. Was it mentorship, silent romance, or something beyond categories? The answer is in the music. Every guitar scream in Dirty Diana, every warm sway in Remember the Time, pours out the story of a love both private and towering. Their bond never ended with a kiss or a fight. It became melody, dance, and myth, replaying forever while staying just out of reach. When the opening riff hits your ears, picture the boy genius and the Motown queen, the promise unspoken, and the single white invitation that wounded a heart the world thought was unbreakable. Even now, decades after both headlines and courtroom dramas, new fans stumble onto these tracks and ask the same question. Who was Diana, and why did her name spark such fierce joy and pain inside the greatest entertainer who ever lived? The mystery keeps the legend fresh, inviting each new listener to become a detective in the sweetest, saddest case pop culture has ever known. A single offhand remark stopped every breath in the room. Someone whispered, he kept a shrine for her at Neverland, and the world shifted. Hidden behind thick doors, far from the public tour, Michael Jackson built a tiny sanctuary just for Diana Ross. Photos framed in soft light, trinkets only he understood. A secret space where hopeless love could breathe without fear. When love goes unanswered for years, it mutates into habit, then weaves itself into the very bones. Michael no longer tried to win her heart. He simply protected that feeling the way he protected the shrine, quiet and private, among the storms of rumor that swirled around his life. This truth rang clear when he finally admitted, it was only in my head. He never lacked fame or sparkle. He simply loved a woman fate denied him, and the sharpest pain was knowing that nothing could end the ache. Many legends rise on victories, yet Michael's greatest myth bloomed from treasures he never owned but still polished with care. People claimed he floated in fantasy, yet his last will prove his feet stayed on solid ground. Buried in the cold legal pages was a name that glowed like sunrise, Diana Ross. That choice was not courtesy or old-school courtesy. It was heart logic. Michael wrote that if his mother Catherine could no longer care for Prince, Paris, and Blanket, Diana would step forward. Not a sibling, not a cousin. Diana, the woman he once called mother and sister and lover in a single breath. Choosing a guardian for your children shouts louder than any love song. It means forever trust. Diana never issued statements, never denied, never explained. Her silence wrapped the gesture in even deeper meaning. Outsiders scratched their heads, unaware that Michael, guarded with almost everyone, relaxed only around her. She alone slipped past his walls and entered the circle labeled family. Some bonds did not need rings or altar vows. They reveal themselves in simple strokes of ink on a document that decides children's futures. Michael left the world with riddles, yet his will place one answer in plain sight, a name resting exactly where it belonged. Before moonwalk fame, he was a boy stunned by the elegance of Diana Ross. He copied her every snap, every confident glide. Standing beside her at 9 years old, He learned more than notes. He learned presence. He later laughed that he studied her. Ooh, the tilt of her chin, the fearless stride that seemed to command the room. Those mannerisms became part of his DNA, not stolen, but celebrated. Early in his career, his glittering jackets, sharp trousers, and mysterious gaze echoed Diana's prime Motown days. It was no accident. He was writing a new chapter that continued her story with his own body and voice. Michael never hid that influence. He spoke her name with pride, rare honesty in an industry built on egos. He merged her diva spark with his own daring and deep loneliness to craft a style the planet had never seen. Watch him whirl, back turned, then slowly twist to face the crowd. That move was likely etched into his mind during childhood rehearsals at her side. True influence lives in small gestures that strike the soul. Diana planted the seed. Michael shone the full bloom, not as debt, but as lifelong tribute. By 81, Diana seldom stepped into limelight. Yet loved ones noticed she began to talk more, as if ready to set one burden down. One rainy afternoon, she spoke in a low, steady voice. Michael loved me in a way that is hard to name. The listeners froze. One tried to laugh it off, but she shook her head. It was true love. No tears, no theater. Just an elderly woman beyond pretense. She added, mother, sister, and lover. That was not a casual remark. I heard him say it, and he never changed the words. She kept distance to spare him and to protect something fragile. He gave me a kind of love I was not sure I could bear, she admitted, because it was serious. I dare not break it. Asked whether she loved him. She stared into her cooling tea. I cared for him with everything one person can give another. To love as he loved me, I cannot say that. Honest, plain, final. Some truths rest too deep for public view. She remembered every detail, even after decades of silence. If this saga stirs your heart, share your thoughts below and tap subscribe so you can uncover more hidden truths with us. Your support keeps these whispered histories alive. Thank you for watching, and do not miss the fresh stories waiting on your screen right now.